It was my first semester of college, and for whatever reason, I knew that I had a test the next day in math, and I knew that was just one thing that I knew my kids were safe. They were out, you know. So my second thought was, oh, I better call my professors and tell them that you know, and you know, actually I was taking Psych 101 at the time, and he was genuinely concerned because of how, you know, I said, my husband killed himself today, and I'm not going to be able to get my assignments in for a couple days. And he's like, is there somebody else there that I can talk to? You know, because I was just...
You were that matter of fact about it?
Yeah, no emotion.
Like you were asking him to pass the butter at dinner?
Pretty much, yeah, yep. And, but I had done that to my math professor and my English professor as well. And they handled it very well. They're like, okay, well, we can talk about, you know, your makeup work later. You know, just do what you have to do for now.
Were you ever angry at Bill?
Oh yeah.
What were you angry about?
That, you know, my girls are going to grow up without their dad. That he left me as a single parent. That he hurt the rest of his family. I mean, it just left him, you know, no explanation, nothing.
Do you still feel angry at him at times?
There's certain times. You know, I get mad, like, especially when, you know, one of my girls will get up, you know, at 11 or 12 at night, you know, I miss Dad. Or, you know, why did Dad have to leave? That's when I get angry. Because there's a lot of times where I go to the cemetery and I yell at him, you know, but then there's other times where, you know, I'm nice.
Yeah. I mean, you couldn't even process telling him what you had told him. That had to have just been overwhelming, completely overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I think that's what upsets me most about the whole thing is that he didn't even give us a chance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, he didn't have any time to process anything other than, you know, that he was feeling hurt and upset, and that was it. There was no...
That must be very frustrating for you.
Very frustrating.
Does that make you angry?
Yeah. Yeah, that he chose a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
Mm-hmm. Do you think the catalyst that led to Bill taking his own life was you telling him about your having feelings for that other man?
Yes.
Do you ever wish you hadn't told him?
No.
Why?
We were so honest with each other about everything. That's why, you know, I've had a lot of people ask me, you know, do you regret telling him now? I don't. If he was in that state of mind, you know, it could have been anything else, whether it was that or something else. If I had lied to him and then he found out, I really don't doubt that it would have been the same outcome. But knowing that I told him the truth, I would have lost sleep all the time. I would have felt like I was lying to him every day if I hadn't told him.
Have you come to terms with your guilt, or is that something that you still struggle with?
I'll always struggle with it to a point. You know, all my schooling, all my therapy, everything, you know, it wasn't your fault, you know, you didn't do anything wrong, you didn't, you know, but in the back of my mind, I think, well, you know, what else could I have done?
What about people who say it's selfish to take your own life because Bill shouldn't have done it because he had a wife, Bill shouldn't have done it because he had kids? What about people who say it's selfish for those reasons? How would you respond to that?
In his mind, it wasn't selfish. You know, like I said, he had learned about, you know, possibly losing his job, and he his big thing was he wanted to provide for our family. You know, he was very careful with money, never overspent, so that was a big focus for him. And there's other people that say, you know, how could he have been thinking of his kids, you know, and done that. He did leave a note, but he did leave his wedding ring on top of his life insurance papers. And I guess I've brought myself to believe that he was saying, you know, that he was worth more alive than dead, in his mind. That's what he was
Worth
thinking.
more dead than alive.
Yes, I'm
Yep.
sorry, yep. So, you know, I guess I have to tell people that, you know, it wasn't, in his mind, it was not selfish, that he saw that as one of the only ways that he could provide for his family and know that they would be okay. But again, rationally thinking, you know, he wasn't thinking of everything we had to deal with afterwards. It's, you know, if I would send every cent plus interest of that insurance money back if I could get him back.